Okay, it's rap pack to my pulse flat. We keep it real, no false rap. I got 4 cars and they all black. Got 4 bras and they all that. We call that ballin'. Doing this is my calling. Flow is so appalling. My phone off and she calling.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Nth-Level Entertainment, the most awesome series, comic book, and movie-related YouTube channel in South Africa. I am your host, Z the Entertainer, and I'm a little under the weather today. That's why I sound a bit like Kevin Conroy or Darth Vader without his helmet. I'm dealing with a little bit of a bronchial infection. I'm hoping it's going to blow over in a few days. But enough about me. Welcome back to episode 6 of my 50 Greatest Movies of All Time review series. And today we're doing Shawshank Redemption. Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, is sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms in prison for the murders of his wife and her lover, and is sentenced to a tough prison. However, only Andy knows he didn't commit the crimes. While there, he forms a close friendship with Red, played by Morgan Freeman, experiences the brutality of prison life, adapts, helps the warden with his taxes, etc., and all in 19 years. Now, I just got done watching this movie. This is the second time that I've actually watched it. It's based on a book by Steve King, apparently, which was a short story. This was told to me by a friend of mine. I didn't know this going into it. And it also serves as the origin to the now very epically famous Morgan Freeman narration voice. I now see the hype around it, actually watching the movie and how he narrates all the events of the story as they go on. So this movie came out in 1994. It's directed by Frank Darabont, and it stars Tim Robbins in the title, well, not the title role, but the main protagonist, Andy Dufresne. I gotta say, this movie is one of those movies that truly embody the concept of triumph over the human spirit, because it's literally set in the one place that a person's spirit would be expected to be broken. You know, it's in a prison. The main character is in a situation where he's actually innocent, but he's forced to be in this prison anyway, and he goes through basically the motions of what convicted felons and rapists and criminals and murderers and things like that, all in one place with other innocent people. So it was great. It actually showed a lot about what it's like to be in a prison system and what a person actually has to do to either adapt or be eaten up by the system itself. In the time that Tim Robbins' character is actually sort of dropped off in the prison, we see he's dropped off along with a whole lot of other new inmates. And it showed to us that there's sort of like this ongoing running gag around the prison is that they pick out who's going to break down and cry the first night of the prison. And this one sort of like, this one fat guy does that, and he starts crying and they egg him on to even cry anymore, and he's crying for his mama and everything like that. And then the captain of the guard, played by Clancy Brown, comes in and beats the absolute crap out of this guy. They basically beat him to death, because when they discussed the event the next morning, they said that they beat him up and they left him there, and he lied there the whole night before they got him to the infirmary, and by that time he had already died. So right off the bat, we actually see how harsh prison life is, and we see how harsh those who are supposedly taking care of you within the prison are even more so as far as harshness goes. We're also introduced to so Morgan Freeman plays the character of Red. He's basically this guy who can get you whatever you want from the outside world, cigarettes, marijuana, if that's your thing. That's exactly how he puts it. And alcohol, posters, all that stuff. So he actually forms a close friend with Tim Robbins' character. And we also meet a character called Brooks. I forget his last name, but he's a very elderly member of that prison community who's actually been there for about 50 years, according to the narration of the story. And we ultimately discover that he serves a plot device, because what happens is that he eventually gets he gets released. Basically, he serves his sentence, and he's no longer allowed to stay in the prison anymore. And we see how institutionalized prisoners can actually become when they are in the system, because he actually tries to kill one of the inmates so that they force him to stay in the prison, because he's afraid of life outside the prison. He's been there for 50 years. He doesn't know anything else. He's used to being told what to do. He's used to the schedule that they go through. He's used to the communal showers. He's used to his prison bed. And when he finally gets out, we see him basically narrate his experience in the outside world through the letters that he writes back to his inmate friends, because that's now the only family that he knows. And he describes basically the challenges he's going through. He gets put into some sort of a halfway house that's there specifically for criminals, I think. And he gets a job bagging groceries at this one store. And he basically relates how challenging all these tasks are, how his hands hurt when he has to bag the groceries, how he doesn't think his boss likes him and things like that, and how uncomfortable his bed is at night, until he eventually commits suicide because he can't take being a free man. It's profound, like the philosophical overtones in this movie are just crazy, because that experience of that character serves as a plot device in the sense that later when Red gets let go out on parole, he basically recants the very same thing, but from a different side of the coin, because he goes to the same halfway house, the very same room that Brooks was staying in, because it even shows the carved out message that Brooks made on I think it was a rafter in the roof or something that said Brooks was here right before he committed suicide. And we see that message when Red actually takes residence in the room. But of course, Red now has a mission that is the only thing that actually keeps him alive or keeps him going, because he was told by Tim Robbins' character Andy Dufresne to look for certain artifacts when he gets out, which will actually sort of get them to reconnect. So it's a good metaphor, not only as to what it's like psychologically to be a prisoner, but also what it's like in life, because we have this thing of groupthink and what's socially acceptable, and people tend to not stray from that, otherwise they'll feel ostracized by society, and how that can actually program you, sorry, into being the type of person you necessarily aren't in your core nature. So but it's also a very big story in terms of the triumph of the human spirit, because we eventually see Andy um, get his freedom through a very carefully planned out escape that he started from the moment he got to the prison. Through all the challenges that he had to stomach, the ill treatment from fellow inmates who actually sodomized him on a regular basis and beat him before doing so, and the unfair treatment that he got from the warden as well as the captain of the guard. And I just have to say, I was so disappointed. I was happy to see Clancy Brown in this role, playing the captain of the guard, but I was simultaneously very much hurt because of the character he played. He's one of my favorite actors, especially as a voice actor, because he plays Lex Luthor in all of the Justice League animated series and Superman the animated series shows that were produced by Bruce Timm back in the day for Warner Brothers. So we see Andy Dufresne go through all these challenges and still stay focused on the goal at hand. And along the way, we see him do some nice things for the other inmates and actually established a friendship with them in a more meaningful way by actually, performing acts of kindness for them or going out of his way and being punished to actually change the system from within. So eventually, we see Red get out, and he eventually reconnects with Andy, and they retire together with the fortune that Andy had actually put away from him. And he simultaneously gets his own back against the warden and the captain of the guard by exposing the ill treatment and illegal tax activities that they would engage in during his time in the prison. This was a brilliant movie. This is the second time I've watched it. You know, it's as I always say, it's out of my regular wheelhouse in terms of it's not an action adventure comic book movie, but I can safely say I think I will be watching this movie again in the near future. It's just that much uplifting, inspiring. It's well written. The actors do a fantastic job. I even saw the actor who played Billy in Ally McBeal do his first acting job in this movie. Well, at least I don't know if it was his first acting job, but I know it was before Ally McBeal. As a prisoner who came in and transferred from another prison, I think it was, and he actually eventually got shot by the captain of the guards. So yeah, it was a great movie, very inspiring. The message was brilliant, despite the subject matter at hand. And I give this movie three. No, that wouldn't be right. I give this movie four prison outfits out of five. simply because, okay, it only misses one point, simply because I wasn't visually entertained enough. It took me a while to get through it. It's a bit long in the tooth, even though it does keep you engaged with the actual story and the characters and Morgan Freeman's epic narration. It's yeah, it really is a gem of cinematic achievement, and it does deserve its spot on the 50 greatest time movies of all time list. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie, what you thought of the review. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the like icon. And if you'd like to see more from Nth-Level Entertainment, please click subscribe and click on the bell icon to make sure that you are notified every time I drop a new channel on the content. Sorry, no, new content on the channel. Anyway, once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and joining me and watching this video. I have been Z the Entertainer. Take care of each other, stay awesome, to infinity and beyond.
Turn these zeros into tens and commas. Bitch, I'm ballin'. Closing $1 million deals. Catch me swerving, burning $100 bills. How I feel when you ballin'. Going places they never go. It ain't all about.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. If you want to see some more from us, click here or click here.
That's comatose, so in mainstream with my main